I woke up and I said, in 12 hours, I'll be dangling from a trapeze that's attached to potentially, I believe, a helicopter. And I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, cool. And you know what you should do too, George? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a big budget movie. Get a stuntman. Yeah, we don't need our friend George Lopez hanging upside down from a helicopter. You know, is there a working title or a full title for the show that you and your daughter Mayan have that's gotten picked up?
Lopez versus Lopez.
Real 92.3, LA's new home for hip hop, Big Boys Neighborhood, beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. No other introductions. Our good friend George Lopez is back in the neighborhood. And George, let me tell you, it is a pleasure to see you. Now, I'm so used to you always coming into the neighborhood, but there is a real reason, and I don't know how much we can discuss of this, why you're not in the neighborhood and what George Lopez is working on.
Yeah, you know, I could probably only talk about what's been released in the thing. But listen, I mean, you and I go back a long time. And I think, you know, as you start to get to the bottom of the candle, man, you start to realize, you know, the people that are important to you and the people that are with you, rain or shine, let's say. And you're one of those people, you know. The fortunate there's a thing called like manifest destiny, that if you think of something, you can create it in real life, you know. But if you create it in reverse, like if my grandmother had manifest destiny, she's gonna be like, when I get old, everybody's gonna leave me and I'm just gonna end up in this house all alone. Well, that's what happened to her. So that's what she said, and that's what happened to her. You know, so if you use it for good, you can kind of play fetch with the universe. Like if you say, you know, I want to be this, and then you go and get on the road to being that, and there's really nothing that can stop you from being that. So Don Cheadle and I were playing golf, and then he was talking about, you know, Iron Man and about maybe possibly moving to another country to work and this and that. And I just was like in the car going like, what do you got to do to get a franchise movie, man? Like, I mean, these things are the biggest things in movie making, DC and Marvel. And then my guy, Jason, the agent that I've had for like 20 years, said, hey, I got a meeting for you tomorrow. You know, I want you to call this guy. And it was Angel, the director of the Blue Beetle, which the Blue Beetle is the first Latino superhero in the universe. And the Blue Beetle goes back to 1940s in the DC comic book world. It's like an eccentric billionaire guy, and you know, had a lab called the Bug Lair. And you know, of all the superheroes, like, you know, Spider-Man can shoot webs, and you know, Batman has all the gadgets, but there's never been a superhero that could start out white in 47 and end up Latino in 2022.
Wow.
I mean, that's
hey man, had you already known about Blue Beetle just growing up, George? Like even in the comics, or?
No, because I made fun of everybody that was into comic books.
Right.
You know, Comic-Con and all that. You're like, hey. But I mean, they follow it like people follow the racetrack, or follow fantasy football, or follow the like Ancestry.com. You have to go
George,
back and see who's in the universe.
And it's not just how we would look at stuff, be like, oh man, comic book characters, or they go to these conventions. It's doctors, lawyers, it's everybody that follow, you know, and it's all demographics, bro. So now the people that you made fun of, you will be at these Comic Cons and you'll be at the red carpets, because now you're in the movie Blue Beetle. And your part, George, you're not just walking by where someone says, oh, that's George Lopez. Like you have a strong character in this movie.
You know, I've woken up a lot of mornings and have said, you know, oh, I got to go do this, or I got to, you know, I'm on the Tonight Show from way back, things that were monumental, you know, in someone's life, you know, the star and just, you know, Mayan's first birthday, fifth birthday, whatever. But this morning I woke up and I said, in 12 hours, I'll be dangling from a trapeze that's attached to potentially, I believe, a helicopter. And I'm looking forward to that.
Hey,
so cool.
and you know what you should do too, George? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a big budget movie. Get a stunt man. Yeah, we don't need our friend George Lopez hanging upside down from a helicopter. You know?
I had a stuntman, Eddie Fernandez, and Eddie Fernandez did my show way back, 20 years ago when I was fixing my mom's bathroom and he fell into the tub. He pulled the shower curtain down, and he's been my stuntman for, I won't say 20 years, I'll say 19, because they asked him to do this movie and he said no.
Right? Wow. He was like, nah.
He said, find somebody younger. But there's some things that you have to do, because if the camera goes by and it's a stuntman, you can tell when somebody rolls over and their hair is different. So I think in this one, there's an element of danger in the film. But if you look on social media, the one thing that I think is, me and the director Angel have talked about the pride that there's some Instagram and TikTok accounts that mention who's in the Blue Beetle and what it means to the culture that there would be a DC franchise movie of the Blue Beetle. So, let me think about how I can say this. The director has a vision for what he sees this movie to be, and there's quite an elaborate amount of effects and high level intense scenes.
Now that you're knocking that out, is that a 23 or a 24 release? As much as you can say with Blue Beetle?
August of 23.
Man.
So with all the publicity and all that stuff, we'll do a screening for you guys and people in the neighborhood.
Man, I appreciate you, man. And also, George, we had a chance to talk kind of off air on the position that you and your daughter are in right now. It's crazy because your daughter Mayan grew up with her dad, George Lopez, being in, television, on stages and in movies. And she didn't fall far from the tree now. And not only do you get someone that say, my daughter's trying to do this, but can you talk about just the production that you have with your daughter right now and what's on your forefront with Mayan?
But when I got divorced, nobody gets divorced and say, well, I'll see you every other Sunday. There's just so much, hurt that's in people. Mm-hmm. And doesn't matter who causes it, there's just a tremendous amount of pain in the family. And we didn't talk for, I might say 3 years, almost maybe 4 years.
Y'all didn't talk, you and Mayan?
We didn't talk for that long. And Arsenio was the one that when we'd go to the Laker games, aside from being high in the front row, we would use those times for almost like a therapy session as we're watching basketball. I'd talk like this,
Yeah.
And
hand over mouth.
He just kept me in there, man, like to make sure that I didn't give up on her and to leave messages, even if she didn't call me back, and so from there to, 3 weeks ago, we fly to New York, and in the upfronts, there's usually all of the talent that every network has, it's like their dog and their pony show, they bring everybody out, which NBC did, but also they took like Sarah Hyde, who's on Modern Family, and Mayan and a couple other comedians to Radio City Music Hall, and they did a presentation in front of 5,500 people, and Mayan did that, and was great and funny. And man, I don't even know really what to say other than it's just an honor to have this young lady give me a second chance at being her dad, but then also to not be hurt or devastated enough to not, in the show, capture a bunch of those things that divided us.
Wow. And so is the show taken already? Because the show has already been picked up, correct, George?
Yeah. And,
Wow.
no shows got picked up this year, man. I mean, listen, man, I know what goes on at the Farmer John plant over there in Highland Park. You walk in a young pig, you come out, in pieces, and I don't think I've ever seen a TV season like last season, like just tremendous amount of shows gone and good shows. And you see Netflix struggling and laying off people. I think they only picked up 3 shows. They picked up Quantum Leap, Night Court, and they picked up our show. And those 2 shows are for mid-season. And then my show and Mayan show is for early November. Like, we already have a premiere date. And it's right before Young Rock, Friday at 8. And Young Rock is doing well. And then in the East, it's the news that comes out, and then you follow the news. But also, you know how I am historically with TV. The 8 o'clock Friday night time is the time that Sanford and Son had. That one of my, if not my favorite show of all time, that I used to watch and still watch. It's just beyond me, man. It's just incredible.
Hey, George, when James Corden, when he said that he was leaving late night, right? Your name started to come up from just a lot of people in the universe, social media. Would you think about, because when you did your George Lopez, your night show, it was ahead of the curve. We had so much fun watching and doing it. Is that something that George Lopez, do you ever consider coming back to late night?
You were there, man. I think
Billy
Vera from Billy Vera and the Beaters was the first announcer. And then I asked you to do it. And, we told TBS, when you get into late night, you got to get all in. Like, if you're going to go swimming, you got to get wet. And they weren't ready for the diversity that show would have brought. They weren't ready for the unity that show would have brought. They weren't ready for the music and the look of it and the feel of it. And I think they were afraid of it. I think they might have been afraid of what they would have been creating in leaving that show and letting it run. I mean, Lenny Kravitz was sitting next to me one time and he said, "Man, there are some beautiful women in this audience." And I said, "And it'll be like that tomorrow and after." But people came as if they were going to a club.
Yeah, man. It was such a great vibe there, bro. I really enjoyed being a part of it. And even with the demographic, man, I couldn't believe that TBS as a network didn't understand what you were bringing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in 1 week, you had more people in 1 week on the George Lopez, your late night show, that some people can get A-list in a year of television, 2-3 years in radio. Like, you'll go back and you'll Google that and you'll see so many stars. You're like, man, all that happened that fast.
Right. Everybody felt sympathy and compassion for Conan, for Jay Leno bumping him up, but Conan did the same thing to me. And
nobody said nothing.
Nobody said anything to me.
George Lopez, we're just coming off of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial, and cameras were in of course they were in the courtroom. And I don't know how when you got divorced, there were no cameras in the courtroom. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine if there were cameras in the courtroom?
Well, I went to a mediator.
Okay.
And I thought that you were supposed to look like you didn't have money when you went. It's almost like my grandmother took a Louis Vuitton purse. My grandmother took a Louis Vuitton purse to the Social Security office. And I'm like, "Grandma, I don't think you're supposed to be using your good purse at the Social Security office."
Right. Yeah, there's a look.
Yeah.
You gotta look, even when they call your name, you have to make them call you twice because you're looking like you can't,
Yeah.
That's me. And came in with diamonds and sleek pants and put some $15,000 purse on the table, and I was like, "I thought you had to look like you needed money."
Right.
Yeah. Not in mediation.
Right. Hey, man, did you watch any of that Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial? What was your outtake on just what you were seeing with the poop on the bed?
Listen, I used to pee in the bed when I got really drunk, so I'm not one.
What?
And then I would try to put like a Mountain Dew bottle, like maybe I spilled it in bed, like lay it right next to where it started, and be like, oh man, who dropped my soda?
Yeah, I was so faded last night.
Hey, I put a Red Bull on the bed. Who spilled my Red Bull? But I mean, almost to where it's saturated. You know, sometimes you try to flip the mattress. That thing looks like French toast. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I think I might have to go to sit and sleep
I owed him a mattress.
But I mean, you go to court, and then you know, those are the things that people attach to the absurdity of, you know, Johnny Depp laid out in the fetal position in his house, which, you know, I don't know.
It happens.
I mean,
Yeah.
But I mean, just we become so salacious and so involved in other people's lives that finding shit in someone's bed is just like, oh, yeah, you know.
No, I don't. Like, you know, like he like, Big, you never Mountain Dew before? No, you never Mountain Dew.
Sometimes, you know, if you're in a hotel, at least you can say, "Oh, I didn't know they put candies on the bed." That must be what's in the.
Yeah, man, I let one of them mints melt down right there. I must have knocked it down. Do you think that Johnny Depp could do another Pirates after what we've seen, or do you? It felt like in the court of public opinion, like it wasn't too bad for him.
No, you know, the thing that I think Johnny Depp did that was brilliant was to stay in front of the story. Like they said, do you use cocaine? Yes. Do you drink? Yes. Do you drink wine? Yes. So all of the allegations that were made towards him, he had already responded to. He took the sting out of saying, you know, do you use coke, and do you? Yeah, I do on occasion. Yeah, I do, and this and that, and do it. I do that, you know, which only works maybe in court. Doesn't work in a real relationship where they go, "Are you using blow?" No. My jaw's locked.
Yeah, my nose is running.
But in that situation, he did himself a brilliant move by getting in front of it.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, and George, we've recently seen, like, George, you'll get on stage and you continue to do stand-up, but we recently seen, you know, comedians, not only the culture, the cancel culture, and everybody's upset when comedy used to be like a safe zone. We could take some of the most painful things and make them funny. Now everybody's offended. And on top of that, now we look and we see, you know, the slap with, you know, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock across his stage across his face at one of the biggest stages, the Oscars. Then we see Dave Chappelle doing his stand-up at the Hollywood Bowl, and someone comes in and attack him. What do you feel about one with the Will Smith and Chris Rock, and what do you feel about the Dave Chappelle? As a comedian, do you feel endangered?
No, I mean, you know, I'm older. The people that come to see me are older. I don't expect anyone with A1C to jump up on you. Yeah. I probably have to help them up and then help them back down. And the slap. I mean, you know, Chris Rock. He to slap Chris Rock is just.
Hey man,
one of the dudes that's on like Mount Rushmore. You might as well go to Mount Rushmore and take George Washington's face off with a chisel. It's like you hit Chris Rock, you're hitting one of the forefathers of comedy.
Yeah,
and it's so damaging to Will and his career and Jada and that interpretation. But I mean, it was done in front of every important person in the world who's involved in movies. It's unfortunate.
As a comedian, and I don't know what your relationship is with Will Smith, but I know you have a relationship with Chris Rock. As a comedian and as a friend, when you see that happen personally, what does that bring in George Lopez?
It's just, man, it's the worst thing that could happen at the worst possible time.
Mm-hmm. So
I feel for Will, who appears to be living in the shadow of Tupac. You know, if the letter that Willow wrote to Tupac and the dynamic that Jada and Tupac might have had, that Will is kind of living in the shadow of this person that's not around anymore. I don't think the red table has enough seats to make that one okay.
Right. Hey, have you talked to Chris Rock since the Oscar night?
No.
Right.
No, I don't. Yeah, no. I think everybody reaches out, and I knew that he was okay. Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl is another thing because, your lights in your eyes in front of 18,000 people, and I think comedians that were there were making security aware of the fact that there was somebody in the aisle that didn't belong in the aisle, and they never told that guy to move along. But I mean, he had a weapon. I mean, he had a weapon.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it would be hell, George, if somebody jumped on your stage at one of your shows, and you would have to stop the crowd from, like, calm down, I'm all right. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that?
I think they would beat somebody down.
George Lopez, man, it's always a pleasure to have you in the neighborhood, bro. And I don't know how long you're going to be out there filming the movie, but we need to get you back in the neighborhood because I love your presence in here. Our audience love us together, bro. Congratulations on Blue Beetle, the movie that you're shooting right now. And is there a working title or a full title for the show that you and your daughter Mayan have that's gotten picked up?
Lopez versus Lopez.
Yes, that was it. Lopez versus Lopez, man. And what's a brief description of that?
It's a father who was estranged from his daughter, who still has the lifestyle of drinking and smoking, who's trying to go back into her life when he doesn't want to change. Basically, I'm Red Fox and Mayan's Lamont.
Really? Hey, George, do you look at any of the breakdowns? Or I don't know if y'all looking at scripts or writings right now. Is there anything that's personal to you that not hurtful, but you're like, damn, this has a little sting to it?
There was talk about the kidney issue, and then I don't think Mayan wanted to go there. But I think everything else, I might pass out here and there. But Al Madrigal played my best friend in this show, and he's great. So just like the first show, we surrounded ourselves with really, really great actors. The little kid from the Enki Boys is my grandson.
Oh my God! Hey man, you see what Pops is going through right now? Yeah, man. Is it Randy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's fighting cancer right now, man, and he's documenting everything, and he's taking us to his chemo with him. We continue to hold him up in prayer, and little Brice, his son, which is playing your great grandson. That little dude is amazing, man. I can't wait to see what kind of work you pull off with Lopez versus Lopez with the cast that you have there.
The first time I saw him, I said, "Hey man, I saw what you did in the Cheech and Chong thing." Like a fan, and then he's like, "Huh?" And then you realize that he's just a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be. Oh, thanks. Did you see the one I did about the Titanic? Did you see the Titanic one I did? But I was all fanning out on him, and he was like, "Huh? Oh yeah." He's 6.
He's see and say. You know what I'm saying? He knocked it out though, bro.
He wasn't around in 2015, man. He wasn't around in 2015.
That's crazy, man.
Is crazy.
And I pray for his pops, man. They're such a dynamic duo, and just family, as a family. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, George Lopez in the neighborhood. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. George up in here, Big Boy's neighborhood.